Something from the distant past has begun to stir once more, and throughout history, every great empire has worked to conceal the truth of its arrival. This evening, we reveal the forbidden connection linking a disappeared astronomer from the Vatican, the escape pattern of the Anunnaki, and a celestial wanderer that contemporary science remains unable to explain. The account you are about to discover is the singular narrative that mankind was destined never to recall. Subscribe now and join me as we venture into the quietness they sought to erase. Across thousands upon thousands of years, the heavens have transmitted warnings in a tongue more ancient than any written word. Not by way of tempests, not by way of celestial streaks, not through anything that could be anticipated. Rather, the sign consistently manifested in an identical manner, a faint, reddish glow, scarcely perceptible initially, emerging at the most distant edge of where earth meets sky, resembling a soft exhalation rising from the ground itself. Priests from antiquity documented that it emerged when the cosmos recalled its injuries. Those who studied the stars in Egypt murmured that it represented the heat lingering beyond darkness, making its way back. And within remote mountain sanctuaries, spiritual devotees sketched a solitary wavering arc using crimson pigment, only to incinerate their entire text in complete silence afterward. The terrifying aspect of this portent lies not solely in its appearance, spanning different land masses, spanning separate cultures, spanning distinct time periods. The truly chilling element is that each written account of it appears to terminate suddenly, as though those documenting it became afraid to complete their very own statements. Tablets formed from clay were shattered into pieces. Scrolls made of papyrus were scraped until nothing remained. Carvings upon stone were reworked to conceal whatever had been there previously. Someone, or perhaps something, desired the red glow to be erased from memory, and still it persisted in returning, moving through the ages like a recollection that will not permit itself to fade. This evening we position ourselves where those ancient peoples once stood, confronting the initial emergence of the sign they worked so frantically to eliminate. Ages before written symbols existed, ages before numerical systems were conceived, ages before humanity even grasped that the sky possessed the capacity to shift with deliberate purpose. Civilizations left the identical marking behind, a circular form divided by a pair of intersecting lines, appearing simple upon initial observation, yet etched with profound respect, with dread, and with desperate urgency. It surfaces in stone from Sumer, in limestone from Egypt, in obsidian pieces, discovered high within Andean sacred sites, peoples divided by vast oceans, peoples who never communicated, never conducted commerce, never possessed awareness that the others even walked the earth. All of them inscribed this precise, identical marking, and positioned alongside it, invariably the identical message rendered in their native tongue. When the red exhalation comes back, the pattern starts over once more. Yet what intensifies the enigma is not the marking's appearance, it is the deliberate destruction of it. Innumerable wall paintings covered over completely, obsidian pieces beaten into particles of dust, panels of sandstone chiseled with such precision that merely faint traces persist, traces resembling memory that has been deleted. Those who study ancient ruins occasionally discover fragments of red mineral coloring pressed deep within the etchings, coloring that emits a gentle radiance when touched by warmth, as though the stone itself retains recollection of something. Each recovered piece indicates the identical reality. The marking was intended to endure, and nevertheless someone repeatedly attempted to eliminate it, as though two opposing powers throughout history pulled in contradictory directions. One side preserving the alert, the opposing side suppressing it. During the year 1889, an astronomer working for the Vatican named Matteo Lencini recorded a concluding notation in the margins of his personal journal, a solitary sentence written with uncertain ink. The red line has come back to the night. It travels as though recalling its course, and afterward, nothing but silence. Matteo disappeared before the sun appeared. His viewing instrument remained pointed at a solitary fixed location in the northern portion of the heavens. His chamber remained undisturbed. Candles had melted down to shallow puddles of hardened wax. Yet the sheets of his journal had been extracted, not ripped violently, not shredded into fragments, but lifted away cleanly, as though by someone desiring absolutely no evidence left remaining. Concealed underneath a board in the floor that sat loose, those investigating discovered one overlooked fragment bearing 4 words written with trembling strokes. It has reawakened once more. The religious institution never provided acknowledgement of his vanishing. No public statements, no organized search, no clarification offered. Only chambers that were sealed, records that were sealed, and sealed murmurs circulating among learned individuals who experienced fear regarding what Matteo had observed. What he witnessed during that particular night mirrored each ancient account of the portent. The faint red glow ascending, moving slowly, moving silently, indicating the commencement of a pattern more ancient than any civilization itself. Matteo had transformed into the first contemporary observer of an ancient alert, and similar to the observers preceding him, he disappeared before he possessed the ability to vocalize it to others. Throughout the world, and throughout ages divided by millennia, observers from antiquity documented the identical impossible configuration, not merely the marking, not merely the luminescence, something more profound, something that traveled with deliberate intent. They documented the red glow making an appearance, then vanishing, afterward coming back following extended intervals. Intervals demonstrating too much consistency to represent mere chance, yet extending too long to remain within the memory of any solitary civilization. The people of Sumer held the belief it indicated the commencement of an era. The people of Egypt held the belief it indicated the conclusion of one. And, within forgotten texts originating from the distant East, wise individuals wrote that the heavens part opens solely when the pathway that was forgotten achieves alignment. What renders this increasingly disturbing is that when those who study these matters place these chronologies in comparison, these separated, incomplete cycles, they demonstrate correspondence, not in a flawless manner, not in a fashion that resembles scientific precision, but in a fashion that resembles recollection. A recollection exceeding the capacity of any civilization to possess in isolation. A recollection that humanity has attempted to conceal repeatedly, yet continues to surface like a shadow projected by something existing beyond vision. And as each piece achieves alignment, as each eliminated marking undergoes rediscovery, the pattern that observers from antiquity experienced fear toward begins to assume form once more. A configuration that extends throughout continents, throughout epochs, and presently in a quiet manner throughout our very own night sky. As the pieces assemble themselves, as markings and chronologies and disappeared testimonies begin achieving alignment, one quiet reality surfaces from the remains. All of these civilizations, divided by seas, by mountains, and by the passage of lifetimes, were not providing descriptions of arbitrary occurrences, but rather responding to the identical presence making its return. Their alerts, their dread, their frantic efforts to eliminate the proof, all of it indicates toward a solitary designation. A designation vocalized in sacred structures before history achieved recording. A designation whispered throughout mythological accounts. A designation etched into stone by those who observed the heavens long before mathematical concepts provided shape to the stellar bodies. And although the designation underwent burial, underwent scratching out, underwent burning, it persisted in reverberations, in pieces, in accounts transmitted by people who sensed they were safeguarding something of greater significance than themselves. This evening we pursue their path more deeply toward the word they experienced the greatest fear toward, Because if the red glow indicates the commencement of the pattern, then the following section discloses the designation standing behind it, the designation they exerted such effort attempting to incinerate from the world. There exists a particular moment in the examination of ancient peoples when configurations cease appearing like happenstance and commence feeling like deliberate design, as those conducting research assembled pieces from separate continents, from separate eras, from separate vanished cultures. They observed that each alert, each eliminated marking, each broken carving had at one time positioned itself adjacent to a solitary word, a word possessing such age that it came into existence before the most early writing systems, a word rendered in tongues that have ceased existing, and nevertheless the sound of it persisted, whispered, made softer, concealed within myth. That word experienced fear directed toward it, not resulting from its meaning within language, but resulting from what it represented within the heavens. Religious leaders recited it solely throughout eclipses. Rulers prohibited it from undergoing carving into stone. Spiritual devotees who reproduced manuscripts eliminated it using trembling ink, leaving nothing behind except wounds in the parchment. And those individuals who possessed the courage to vocalize it in audible form did so solely within darkness, as though the night itself possessed the capacity to hear. That designation, the designation every civilization attempted to incinerate, represents where our following section commences. The authentic identity of the red glow, the authentic presence standing behind the pattern, the designation the world received instructions never to recall. The more deeply learned individuals explored repositories from antiquity, the more extensively they came to understand that the peril was never the occurrence itself, but rather the awareness of it. Complete civilizations had exerted effort to eliminate the significance standing behind the designation. Within the magnificent libraries of the eastern regions, sheets were sliced with such perfection that solely a subtle elevation on the binding disclosed something had experienced removal at some point. Within forgotten, underground chambers positioned beneath desert sacred structures, carvings upon stone were worked over, not using fresh narratives, but using emptiness. And within the restricted storage chambers of kingdoms from medieval times, complete shelving units were enclosed behind constructed barriers, as though concealing the concept carried greater urgency than concealing the physical thing itself. The configuration transformed into something unmistakable. Whenever the red glow made its return to the place where earth meets sky, whenever a generation perceived the heavens undergoing transformation, that prohibited designation underwent elimination once more, as though the word itself possessed a burden that caused rulers to experience greater fear than tempests, greater fear than armed conflict, greater fear than starvation. Even presently, those conducting research while handling these pieces describe an unusual sensation, a burden, a pressure, as though the stone demonstrates resistance toward disclosing what underwent removal from it. Yet quietness does not accomplish the destruction of reality. It solely postpones the instant when it receives audible form once more. And nevertheless, regardless of how many occasions the world exerted effort to eliminate it, the designation persisted. Softly, quietly, concealed within locations where even those in power experienced forgetting to search. It remained present in the melodies of traveling individuals who shared narratives. It reverberated throughout desert ceremonies conducted underneath skies lacking stars. It manifested in coded inscriptions on pathways used for trade that were forgotten, inscriptions possessing such weathering that those traveling mistook them for natural fractures within stone. The word declined to perish because the occurrence it provided designation for declined to cease making its return. Positioned somewhere within these distributed remnants, those conducting research observed an unusual configuration. Whenever the red glow manifested, whenever the sky exhaled that subtle red luminescence, people recalled the designation, as though something within the illumination itself stimulated recollection, as though humanity possessed the word not within libraries, but positioned more deeply within natural response. And when learned individuals ultimately assembled sufficient pieces together, sufficient incinerated sheets, sufficient partially eliminated markings, the designation surfaced resembling a murmur ascending from centuries of quietness. It represented a word vocalized softly by the initial observers of stars and experienced with loud fear by the empires arriving afterward. A designation the world would shortly hear once more within a location nobody anticipated. Concealed within the remains of a library from antiquity, positioned underneath layers of granular material and the passage of time, those conducting research uncovered a stone piece unlike anything discovered previously. It bore solely a small number of sentences etched using slow, calculated strokes, as though the individual creating it experienced fear that each marking possessed the potential to represent their final one. The piece provided words regarding a stellar body, the red one who traverses without requiring sky, a phrase possessing such strangeness, such poetic quality, that learned individuals engaged in discussion regarding whether it provided description of a celestial occurrence or a presence. Yet the most disturbing aspect was not what persisted on the stone, it was what had undergone removal. Throughout the upper portion of the tablet, a section possessing rectangular shape had undergone chiseling out using surgical exactness. Not broken apart, not affected by weather, but extracted. Someone had eliminated a complete section, a section that at one time possessed the designation of the Red Traveler. Those who study ancient remains discovered similar acts of elimination within distant sacred structures. Rectangular wounds possessing identical characteristics, making appearances in remains positioned thousands of miles in separation. Wounds of something receiving deliberate suppression. When positioned in a line alongside one another, they demonstrated perfect correspondence, as though all underwent editing by the identical hand that could not be observed. Even more unsettling, the coloring pressed more deeply within the carved channels, persisted in emitting faint red radiance, even within darkness, even following centuries positioned underneath Earth. It was not pigment used for decoration. It was not particles of mineral. It was something different. Something observers from antiquity held the belief originated from the red stellar body itself. Whatever awareness the eliminated section at one time possessed, it caused terror within those who exerted effort to eliminate it. And the more pieces those conducting research brought to light, the more distinct the configuration transformed. The world did not experience forgetting of the designation. It received compulsion to forget. As pieces from distant ages underwent assembly together, a concealed picture commenced, forming underneath the remnants of histories that were eliminated. The alerts, the markings, the red glow, all of it indicated toward a solitary prohibited expression. Learned individuals whispered that it received vocalization openly at one time, before rulers made it unlawful, before sacred structures concealed it, before those who copied texts received orders to incinerate it from recollection. And nevertheless, even words that undergo elimination leave shadows remaining. Stones that undergo carving leave impressions from pressure. Manuscripts that undergo burning leave configurations within the residue. Slowly, with care, the prohibited designation underwent resurfacing. The more deeply those conducting research examined, the more extensively they came to understand the reality. Each piece, each eliminated carving, each suppressed section was not the conclusion of awareness, but rather the commencement of a path that extended beyond myth, beyond the study of celestial bodies, towards something possessing far greater age than human civilization. The designation persisted in reverberations because the occurrence it provided description for persisted within the heavens. The red glow was not arbitrary. It represented a sign, a pattern, a configuration. And the people who initially provided it designation experienced fear not toward the designation itself, but rather toward the arrival of what it provided description for. Presently, the path advances forward toward the sky charts of the initial astronomers, toward the mathematical work that contemporary science continues being unable to provide explanation for, toward the location where myth and mathematical precision experience collision. And within the following section, we vocalize the designation the world exerted effort attempting to incinerate. Across many generations, those who study the stars held the belief the regions positioned on the exterior of our solar system were demonstrating stability, demonstrating predictability, remaining untouched by anything existing beyond the gravitational force of the sun. Yet afterward, in a quiet manner, something underwent transformation. Within the frigid darkness extending beyond Pluto, celestial bodies were traveling in fashions no theoretical framework possessed the ability to provide explanation for. Their paths underwent stretching, underwent twisting, underwent pulling into extended, unnatural curves, not by happenstance, not by impacts, but rather by something that could not be observed, something possessing massive scale, something traveling with deliberate purpose. Initially, those conducting research dismissed it as miscalculation, afterward as happenstance. Yet instances of happenstance do not demonstrate repetition of themselves repeatedly throughout innumerable observations. As information from distant viewing instruments underwent accumulation, an unusual configuration surfaced. These distant worlds, the traveling icy celestial bodies that move through the shadows, were demonstrating behavior as though responding to a presence not possessing visibility at this time, but existing there in an undeniable manner. And as those who study the stars followed these impossible movements, creating charts of them throughout years, a form commenced taking shape, a slow, broad, calculated curve, the identical curve discovered on clay from antiquity, the identical arc sketched by Matteo Lencini within his concluding journal, the identical course etched within forgotten sacred structures. In a sudden manner, myth and the study of celestial bodies were no longer divided narratives. They were providing description of the identical wanderer from two separate ages of human comprehension. Long before contemporary viewing instruments detected these irregularities, a scholar who disappeared had previously sketched them using manual methods. During the final portion of the 19th century, Matteo Lencini left a collection of drawings that caused confusion among the astronomers, discovering them centuries afterward. Lines possessing curves, paths making loops, trajectories demonstrating no logical sense for any recognized celestial body. Upon initial observation, they resembled errors, the creation of an individual experiencing overwhelming speculation. Yet when astronomers from the contemporary period positioned Matteo's curves sketched manually over recently discovered information regarding orbits, something impossible occurred. The curves demonstrated perfect correspondence. Each bend, each transformation, each slow motion sweeping throughout the region of the solar system that could not be observed. Matteo, in some manner, witnessed the identical distortions caused by gravity that researchers from the contemporary period detected more than 100 years afterward. Distortions produced by a massive presence, continuing to remain concealed from our vision. How did he possess the ability to know? How did he possess the ability to observe something our instruments possessing the greatest advancement possess, barely the ability to detect presently? Unless he did not accomplish discovery of it, unless he was experiencing recollection of it, following a configuration possessing greater age than his very own time, a configuration documented by civilizations that experienced life, experienced death, and whispered their alerts into clay. The identical configuration Matteo observed emitting radiance within the heavens. The curve of a wanderer making its return following its ancient course. Long following Matteo's disappearance, another observer without awareness positioned themselves within the identical enigma. During the middle portion of the 20th century, positioned far from urban centers, positioned far from facilities for observation. An individual studying ancient remains, named Elias Corrin, brought to the surface a collection of tablets formed from clay, positioned deep underneath a sacred structure that had experienced collapse within the Sahara. The tablets possessed inscriptions unlike anything discovered within that geographical area, markings forming spirals throughout their exterior, curves that intersected and positioned at the central point, a curve sweeping across, carved using such exactness that it appeared possessing greater mathematical quality than artistic quality. Corrin possessed the belief he had brought to light a diagram for ceremony that was unknown. Yet decades afterward, when those who study the stars conducted examination of photographs of the tablets, they accomplished recognition of the configuration in an instant. It represented the identical path along an orbit Matteo sketched using manual methods, the identical impossible curve followed by viewing instruments from the contemporary period, the identical ancient pattern civilizations exerted effort attempting to position underneath Earth. And nevertheless, Corrin had never observed Matteo's creation. Matteo had never observed the tablets, and the tablets themselves possessed greater age than both of them, possessing greater age than any written tongue within the geographical area. 3 observers throughout 3 distant eras, providing documentation of the identical silent wanderer. What Corrin discovered was not myth, not ceremony. It represented the study of celestial bodies rendered in stone before the study of celestial bodies achieved existence. A recollection safeguarded by civilizations experiencing disappearance long in the past, undergoing resurfacing within the hands of an individual who possessed no concept. He was possessing the solution to a pattern spanning the cosmos, possessing greater age than history. When those conducting research positioned Matteo's drawings, positioned alongside Corrin's photographs, an unusual stillness descended throughout the chamber. 2 individuals who experienced life during separate centuries, who conducted study within separate fields, who never experienced paths crossing, had documented the identical impossible curve. And when simulations of orbits from the contemporary period underwent addition to the surface for examination, the curve manifested once more. 3 observers, 3 eras, 1 configuration possessing identical characteristics, demonstrating repetition throughout time. It ceased feeling like accomplishment of discovery. It commenced feeling like accomplishment of recognition, as though humanity was experiencing recollection of something it had experienced forgetting of, something pressed into its most ancient narratives. The more extensively the researchers accomplished alignment of the pieces, the more distinct the form transformed. It was not demonstrating arbitrary movement. It was not demonstrating drifting. It represented a course that made a sweep extending broadly beyond the solar system, afterward underwent bending directed inward, afterward made its return once more on a pattern extending longer than civilizations themselves. Observers from antiquity etched it into stone because they witnessed it within the heavens. Matteo provided a sketch of it because he witnessed it within the heavens. Astronomers from the contemporary period created charts of it because instruments ultimately accomplished catching up with recollection. This represented the instant myth and mathematical precision made contact for the initial occasion. And as the curve assumed form on the surface for examination, each individual within the chamber comprehended the identical reality. Something possessing massive scale, lacking visibility, and making its return, had provided shape to human history, possessing greater impact than any empire. As the concluding pieces accomplished alignment, the chamber experienced growth of quietness. The clay from antiquity, the sketches from the astronomer who disappeared, the chart of the orbit from the contemporary period, all of it indicated toward the identical occurrence. Not a myth, not a marking, not a legendary account experiencing misinterpretation throughout cultures. It possessed authentic existence, an authentic course, an authentic celestial body, an authentic wanderer making its return on a pattern possessing such vast scale that civilizations manifested and disappeared between its passages. And presently, for the initial occasion within recorded history, the pattern possessed visibility once more. The red glow was not a portent originating from imagination. It represented the reverberation of a presence possessing gravitational force traveling back directed toward us, pursuing the identical ancient curve etched into stone by civilizations who exerted effort attempting to provide alert to the future. It was at this instant that those conducting research came to understand why such numerous rulers suppressed the designation, why sacred structures positioned it underneath earth, why those copying texts incinerated it, not for the purpose of safeguarding the word, but rather for the purpose of safeguarding the world from the dread that arrived with comprehending it. The initial magnificent disclosure was possessing simplicity and possessing devastating quality. Myth from antiquity and the study of celestial bodies from the contemporary period were providing description of the identical force making its return. The following section would bring to light its designation. The designation incinerated from manuscripts, yet safeguarded within stone. If you are pursuing this enigma, provide a comment containing your reflections. It assists greater numbers of people in accomplishing discovery of these narratives that are concealed long before humanity accomplished its initial steps, long before the most early urban centers ascended from the banks of rivers. There possessed existence a world possessing far greater age than our very own, a world receiving illumination not by tranquility, but rather by pressure. Texts from the Anunnaki provide description of a location where the sky emitted radiance, possessing colors that underwent transformation, where tempests possessing magnetic quality moved resembling living entities, and where the place, earth, meets sky, never remained in a state of stillness. Their world was not experiencing death resulting from age, or lack of water, or armed conflict. It was experiencing death because something possessing far greater magnitude traveled through their sky. Something that accomplished pulling of oceans directed upward, accomplished bending of mountains, and accomplished filling the air using a red radiance that should never have possessed belonging there. Records from the Anunnaki make reference to this presence solely within comparisons used for illustration. The stellar body that traverses the individual possessing unfamiliarity within the sky, the red one who experiences recollection. They never provide explanation regarding what it represented, solely how it produced sensation. Complete seasons disappeared throughout a single night. The sun underwent dimming, rivers underwent reversal of their directions of flow, and as the red glow experienced growth possessing greater strength, their world commenced experiencing failure underneath their feet. Urban centers underwent collapse, sacred structures underwent fracturing, skies underwent trembling, and the Anunnaki comprehended a reality that no civilization desires confronting. They lacked the ability to accomplish salvation of their world. Whatever traveled through their heavens was not something they possessed the ability to engage in conflict with. It represented something they possessed requirement to escape from. When the initial magnificent tempests manifested, the Anunnaki possessed the belief they were confronting a temporary pattern, something the sky had accomplished previously, something it would accomplish survival of once more. Yet, as the years underwent unfolding, and the red radiance etched itself possessing greater depth into their days and nights, the reality transformed into something impossible to maintain ignorance toward. Their world was accomplishing crossing of paths with the wanderer one more occasion, the identical wanderer that had accomplished breaking apart of continents within ages, experiencing forgetting long in the past. The identical force whose arrival had undergone whispering throughout generations. The identical presence that accomplished transformation of the very rhythm of their seasons. Those in positions of authority assembled themselves within their sacred structure possessing the greatest height, a construction created not from stone but rather from a mineral that emitted shimmer resembling gold in molten form. Within its central chamber, the individuals possessing greatest age provided words regarding prophecies, regarding mathematical work, and regarding the charts their forebears left in their possession. All of it indicated toward the identical determination. Remaining in position signified extinction. Accomplishing departure signified survival. It was not a selection experiencing birth from bravery, but rather from comprehension. Comprehension that the sky had commenced its pattern once more, and that no power, no advancement in methods, no divine entity they directed worship toward possessed the ability to accomplish halting of what moved closer. They accomplished preparation of their vessels. They accomplished preservation of their awareness. And possessing a sorrow that reverberated throughout their urban centers, the Anunnaki directed their eyes toward the stellar bodies, conducting search for a world remaining untouched by the course of the wanderer. The concluding days of their world experienced filling using quietness, not frantic behavior, not disorder, but rather acceptance. Chronicles from the Anunnaki provided description of people traversing through their urban centers, possessing a state of calm that produces sensation almost impossible for forming mental images of. Constructions underwent trembling. The air underwent vibration. The red radiance accomplished swallowing of shadows until even the time of night possessed appearance that was unfamiliar. And continuing, they traversed, possessing deliberate purpose. Their act of departure was not an instant, but rather a ceremony. Family groups assembled themselves underneath towering entry structures created long before recollection. They made contact with the stone one concluding occasion, as though providing farewell to forebears etched into its exterior. When the departure from their world ultimately commenced, the sky accomplished opening in a fashion no human eye has experienced observation of at any point. Magnificent vessels ascended from vast expanses of desert, created not of metallic material, but rather of a combination possessing shimmer that accomplished bending of illumination resembling water. The red radiance spread itself throughout their exterior surfaces as they moved upward, providing reflection of configurations that demonstrated correspondence with diagrams from antiquity. Configurations discovered afterward within myths from Sumer. Configurations, Matteo provided sketches of using manual methods. Configurations, astronomers from the contemporary period created charts of without possessing conscious awareness. As the vessels from the Anunnaki accomplished climbing possessing greater height, providing departure to their world experiencing collapse positioned behind them, their records make mention of one concluding sight. The red glow from the wanderer making a sweep throughout the place where earth meets sky, possessing brightness, exceeding all previous occasions. The indication that the pattern of their world had accomplished reaching of its conclusion. Not every individual from the Anunnaki accomplished boarding of the vessels. Some individuals remained in position. Their records provide description of a collection recognized simply as the observers. Individuals selected not for physical strength or social position, but rather for recollection. Their objective was to remain positioned behind, to accomplish observation of the concluding days of their world, and to accomplish ensuring that awareness of the pattern of the wanderer would not disappear accompanying the departure. These observers accomplished etching of their final observations into columns formed from stone that continue standing presently, concealed positioned underneath layers of civilizations that ascended long following their disappearance. The observers possessed awareness of their destiny the instant they accomplished volunteering. They comprehended that the red glow moving closer to the place where earth meets sky was not a commencement, but rather the conclusion of a pattern that had accomplished, providing of shape to their world across ages. They provided writing regarding oceans ascending into the air as the force of gravity underwent distortion. They provided writing regarding mountains, accomplishing leaning resembling clay that underwent softening. They provided writing regarding a sky that underwent vibration, producing humming, possessing an ancient rhythm, and they provided writing regarding a concluding message. An alert intended not for their people, but rather for the following world the pattern would make contact with. A world they possessed never the ability to accomplish reaching, yet possessed hope, someone at some future point possessed potential for comprehension. Their final carvings provided words regarding a course, regarding an arrival, and regarding a pattern that did not accomplish conclusion accompanying their world. It persisted directed outward. The departure of the Anunnaki was not an act of escape. It represented a message. Each vessel that ascended into the sky, experiencing breaking, possessed not solely their people, but rather pieces of awareness intended for the following civilization that would confront the arrival of the wanderer. They accomplished encoding of alerts into charts of stellar bodies. They accomplished etching of markings into stone. They provided markers throughout worlds they accomplished landing on. Indications possessing subtle quality indicating toward the identical configuration, and as their vessels disappeared into the darkness, their records experiencing survival provided words regarding a concluding instruction. Pursue the pattern, accomplish comprehension of it, accomplish preparation for it. What they accomplished escape from did not accomplish conclusion accompanying them. It traveled, continuing onward, pursuing its ancient course through the emptiness. And, when their individuals experiencing descent accomplished reaching of earth, they created their sacred structures not in accordance with myth, but rather in accordance with recollection. They accomplished alignment of constructions to the identical curve Matteo sketched using manual methods. They accomplished preservation of the identical marking etched throughout continents, and they possessed the identical dread that had accomplished conclusion of their initial world. The observers provided departure of a path that provides guidance to us presently toward the mathematical work of the study of celestial bodies from the contemporary period, where the course of the wanderer has commenced, accomplishing revelation of itself once more. Within the darkness on the exterior of our solar system, positioned far beyond the extent of illumination from the sun, celestial bodies travel in fashions that should possess the quality of being impossible. Their paths accomplish stretching, accomplish twisting, accomplish bending as though experiencing pulling by a massive hand. Humanity lacks the ability to observe. Those who study the stars observe this configuration with reluctance, almost possessing unwillingness for accepting what it signified. When irregularities possessing small scale manifest on one occasion, they possess the ability to undergo ignoring. When they manifest on two occasions, they possess the ability to undergo explaining away. Yet when each newly discovered celestial body pursues the identical curve possessing distortion, the sky commences whispering something possessing undeniable quality. These distant worlds, fragments of frozen stone moving through, drifting, positioned at the boundary of everything, are demonstrating behavior as though accomplishing orbiting of a presence possessing massive scale. A presence positioned excessively far for accomplishing detection in a direct manner, excessively frigid for accomplishing reflection of illumination, excessively slow for accomplishing betrayal of itself. And nevertheless, its power of influence possesses unmistakable quality. When those conducting research accomplished plotting of the movements on charts possessing digital quality, the courses underwent curving directed toward a location lacking visibility. A location that demonstrated correspondence with Matteo's final observations, with Corin's tablets from antiquity, and with the most early charts of the sky etched by civilizations that should not have possessed awareness regarding anything existing beyond their very own horizons. The mass lacking visibility possessed existence within mathematical expressions, long before it possessed existence within our viewing instruments. Something positioned out there was accomplishing bending of the fabric of space, and in a quiet manner accomplishing revelation of itself through the force of gravity in isolation. As mathematical work underwent deepening, the enigma solely experienced growth possessing greater strangeness. Each simulation provided confirmation of the identical reality. A celestial body possessing massive scale possesses existence beyond the boundary of our vision, accomplishing exertion of a pull, possessing gravitational quality, possessing strength, sufficient for accomplishing, providing of shape to the paths, along orbits of complete families, of distant worlds. And nevertheless, despite its power of influence possessing enormous quality, no viewing instrument had experienced capturing of it at any point, not even the instruments possessing the greatest power using infrared, not even the scans possessing the greatest depth provided to the public by organizations exploring space. It possessed quality as though the celestial body accomplished absorption of illumination, or concealed itself positioned behind a covering formed from particles spanning the cosmos, or travelled following a course in a deliberate manner positioned outside our region of observation. Some individuals studying the stars put forward the proposal that the wanderer possessed potential for being a world possessing darkness, a body possessing planetary quality demonstrating such frigid quality that it accomplishes emission of almost nothing. Other individuals made the suggestion it possessed potential for experiencing surrounding by fragments, a covering of pieces from antiquity moving behind it, resembling a tempest possessing silence. Yet a collection possessing small scale of those conducting research, the ones who accomplished examination of Matteo's sketches and Corin's tablets, observed something possessing difference. They accomplished recognition of the curve, they accomplished recognition of the pattern, and they accomplished recognition of the quietness. It was not that the celestial body declined detection. It was that the celestial body lacked requirement to undergo observation for accomplishing revelation of itself. Its presence experienced life within the mathematical work, within the distortions, within the consistency possessing unsettling quality between alerts from antiquity and measurements from the contemporary period. The wanderer provided departure of no visual representation, solely results. While individuals conducting science engaged in argument regarding mathematical expressions, another establishment had been accomplishing observation of the identical region of the sky, possessing absolute quietness, positioned high within mountains, at facilities for observation receiving rare mention within public contexts. Astronomers from the Vatican accomplished following of irregularities possessing faint quality using infrared. These were not visual representations, not forms, but rather emissions of energy. Flashes possessing rhythmic quality, demonstrating such soft quality, such delicate quality that without Matteo's written material they would have undergone dismissal as interference. Yet, when placed in comparison with his final documented observations, and when accomplished alignment with the identical curve etched within stone from antiquity, the emissions of energy demonstrated correspondence. Within repositories experiencing restriction, those conducting research discovered reports written manually from religious individuals who observed emissions possessing similar quality generations in the past. They provided description of a stellar body possessing frigidity, a fire experiencing wandering positioned behind the heavens, a traveler possessing silence whose illumination lacks the ability to accomplish piercing of the world, yet accomplishes piercing of the essence within. None of these accounts produced logical sense in a scientific manner, yet all demonstrated correspondence with what instruments from the contemporary period were accomplishing detection of. Not a body possessing visibility, but rather a presence, something accomplishing passage through the portion of the spectrum using infrared in intervals, possessing slow quality, possessing calculated quality, something making its return following a course possessing greater age than civilization. The Vatican never accomplished announcement of these discoveries. They simply accomplished locking of the reports into storage, accomplished adding of Matteo's sheets, experiencing tearing to the secured chamber, and directed their viewing instruments back directed toward the identical coordinate, experiencing prohibition. The identical coordinate, observers from antiquity at one time etched into stone, and the identical coordinate presently accomplishing bending of the exterior solar system one more occasion, as those who study the stars accomplished refining of their mathematical work. The mass lacking visibility commenced assuming form through mathematical expressions in isolation. Its power of influence accomplished spreading throughout paths along orbits, resembling a murmur, experiencing carrying through the emptiness, possessing subtle quality, possessing patient quality, possessing unmistakable quality. Each simulation accomplished drawing of the identical determination. There possessed existence, something possessing heavy quality positioned out there, something possessing ancient quality, something pursuing a course, demonstrating such vast quality that it accomplished crossing of civilizations resembling mere steps taken by feet. And the aspect possessing the greatest strangeness was not the celestial body itself, but rather the fashion its course provided reflection of the curves etched by civilizations that had never observed a viewing instrument. When the theoretical frameworks regarding orbits underwent placement positioned alongside Corin's tablets formed from clay, the alignment possessed quality nearly perfect. When Matteo's concluding sketches underwent laying position next to plots possessing gravitational quality from the contemporary period, the correspondence possessed undeniable quality. Sentences sketched centuries experiencing separation, awareness divided by vast extensions of time, in some manner providing description of the identical curve. It possessed quality as though the universe had been demonstrating repetition of a teaching repeatedly, accomplishing waiting for someone to ultimately accomplish listening. The individuals from antiquity documented what they accomplished observation of. Matteo documented what he experienced dread toward, and astronomers from the contemporary period documented what the force of gravity declined concealing. 3 ages, 3 tongues, 1 occurrence providing words through all of them. And as the concluding simulations underwent unfolding, an understanding accomplished spreading among those conducting research. This was not the path along an orbit of a planet possessing typical quality. This represented something possessing greater magnitude, something possessing greater frigidity, something that did not desire undergoing observation. Within the hours possessing quietness of the time of night, following simulations possessing innumerable quality, following sheets of mathematical expressions distributed throughout surfaces for work, following pieces from antiquity were organized resembling components of an enigma spanning the cosmos. Something possessing extraordinary quality occurred, the central point possessing gravitational quality, the mass lacking visibility accomplishing bending of distant worlds, accomplished alignment in a perfect manner with the marking from antiquity etched throughout continents. A circular form, a course accomplishing crossing, a curve accomplishing spiraling directed inward, afterward directed outward once more, pursuing a pattern possessing greater age than any history experiencing recording. For the initial occasion, the discipline of study from the contemporary period and recollection from antiquity indicated toward the identical location within the sky. The identical coordinate experiencing prohibition, the Vatican had accomplished observation of possessing silence. The identical region where Matteo disappeared while accomplishing recording of a red glow no other individual possessed the ability to observe. As the final sentence accomplished alignment on the chart possessing digital quality, those conducting research comprehended why the celestial body had never accomplished revelation of itself in a direct manner. It lacked requirement. Its presence experienced life within the wounds it provided departure of, within the paths along orbits it accomplished, providing of shape to, within the alerts whispered by civilizations experiencing disappearance long in the past. And as the configuration assumed form, an understanding possessing greater depth surfaced. If the celestial body pursued a pattern, afterward the red glow was not a reverberation of its time past, but rather an indication of its arrival. The path presently provides guidance toward the central point of prophecy from antiquity. toward the writings of those individuals who provided description of a stellar body possessing red quality and possessing fire, toward the commencement of the section bearing the number 6. Throughout the world, from antiquity, constructions manifested possessing no objective, possessing clarity, possessing no origin, possessing clarity, and possessing no clarification, possessing clarity. Structures experiencing alignment to stellar bodies that lacked visibility, to vision lacking assistance. Sacred structures experiencing orientation directed toward locations within the sky where nothing appeared to possess existence. Pathways formed from stone and open areas for ceremony extending directed toward horizons where the sun never accomplished rising and never accomplished setting. Across centuries, individuals studying history possessed the belief these alignments were possessing symbolic quality, possessing quality relating to ceremony, possessing decorative quality. Yet as those conducting research place these orientations in comparison with the theoretical frameworks possessing gravitational quality experiencing recent discovery, a picture possessing difference surfaced. The individuals creating structures from antiquity were not indicating towards stellar bodies, but rather toward a target experiencing movement, a target whose position underwent transformation slowly, in a manner possessing predictability, pursuing the identical curve possessing extended quality charted by simulations from the contemporary period. The identical curve discovered on Corin's tablet formed from clay. The identical curve Matteo provided sketch of before disappearing. Civilizations divided by seas and millennia were accomplishing reaction to the identical presence, each providing departure behind of markers possessing architectural quality and possessing silence. The people of Sumer accomplished alignment of stepped pyramids directed toward the position of the wanderer during the cold season. People from Egypt accomplished aiming of complete sacred structures directed toward its course experiencing ascent. And within South America, positioned at distance, platforms possessing massive scale formed from stone pursued the identical curve throughout the sky. These structures were not created for divine entities. They were created for recollection, a recollection of something that accomplished passage throughout their heavens, making its return following ages, demonstrating such extended quality that solely stone possessed the ability to accomplish preservation of the alert. Within the central point of the ancient region of Mesopotamia, the people of Sumer provided departure behind of records that learned individuals dismissed as myth across centuries. They provided writing regarding a traveler possessing red quality, a stellar body making return, a force that accomplished providing of shape to the ascending and descending of ages. Their tablets possessing wedge-shaped script provided description of mathematical work possessing advancement excessively great for their era, measurements possessing angular quality of the sky, calendars possessing extended counting that accomplished extending beyond the durations of human life. It appeared possessing impossible quality that a civilization demonstrating such early quality possessed the ability to accomplish prediction of anything existing beyond the patterns of the moon. Yet when astronomers from the contemporary period accomplished translation of their positions possessing angular quality and placed them in comparison with the simulations possessing gravitational quality of the wanderer, something possessing extraordinary quality occurred. The measurements from the people of Sumer indicated directed toward the identical region of the sky. The identical coordinate experiencing prohibition, the Vatican accomplished observation of possessing silence. The identical location Matteo documented before disappearing. The identical curve etched within Corin's tablet, and positioned here within an urban center that experienced flourishing millennia before the discipline from the contemporary period. People had previously created charts of the celestial body making its return. Their records provided words regarding dread, yet also regarding preparation. The people of Sumer did not accomplish directing of worship toward the traveler possessing red quality. They accomplished observation of it, accomplished mathematical work regarding it, accomplished following of its motion throughout generations. and they provided departure behind of instructions, possessing partial quality as mathematical work, possessing partial quality as prophecy. For the civilizations that would confront it following, they possessed awareness their time would accomplish conclusion, yet they possessed belief someone within the future would accomplish comprehension. When those conducting research accomplished examination of the directional lines of sacred structures possessing the greatest age from Egypt, they discovered something lacking anticipation. Numerous of them lacked accomplishment of alignment to the sun or the flowing water of the Nile or the directions possessing cardinal quality, but rather to an angle producing no logical sense in a state of isolation, a tilt possessing slight quality, a deviation possessing precise quality, a direction appearing possessing arbitrary quality, until the theoretical frameworks possessing gravitational quality underwent placement over it. Afterward, everything accomplished alignment. The sacred structures indicated in a direct manner directed toward the path experiencing ascent of the wanderer. The identical course experiencing rising documented by astronomers from Sumer, and the identical curve lacking visibility followed within simulations from the contemporary period. Carvings possessing hieroglyphic quality within these sacred structures provided words regarding a visitor from the sky, a fire lacking flame, a traveler possessing silence, who accomplishes bringing of patterns relating to renewal and relating to elimination. Religious leaders documented nights when the sky emitted radiance possessing red quality at the place where earth meets sky, possessing duration just sufficient for undergoing observation, possessing faintness just sufficient for undergoing doubt. They provided description of ceremonies conducted not for worship, but rather for observation. The people of Egypt possessed no false beliefs regarding the nature of the wanderer. They did not provide it designation as a divine entity. They provided it designation as an indication. When the initial red glow made its return, their religious leaders accomplished marking of the instant on limestone, accomplishing adding of it to an extended sequence possessing dates extending back to eras presently experiencing loss. They possessed belief the pattern would persist beyond their realm, beyond all realms, until one distant civilization ultimately comprehended the alert pressed within their stone. Throughout the ocean, on a landmass positioned far from Sumer and from Egypt, individuals creating structures from antiquity brought into existence constructions whose objective learned individuals continue engaging in discussion regarding earthworks possessing massive scale, extending across miles, structures formed from stone possessing mounds shaped using exactness. No implements from early times should have permitted. Pathways etched into elevated flat areas that indicated directed toward locations within the sky where no stellar body experiencing awareness ever emitted illumination. Across generations, those who study ancient remains held the assumption these alignments were possessing ceremonial quality, possessing artistic quality, or possessing coincidental quality. Yet when their orientations underwent placement, in comparison with the path of the wanderer experiencing reconstruction, the correspondence transformed into something impossible for accomplishing ignoring. Within the Andes possessing high elevation, open areas possessing megalithic quality pursued the identical curve pressed upon Corin's tablet. Within North America, geometric structures formed into mounds possessing enormous scale accomplished alignment to the position, possessing the lowest quality of the wanderer within the sky. Within Mesoamerica, stepped pyramids confronted horizons where glows possessing faint red quality were reported to manifest throughout certain eras. Instance documented within myths regarding the stellar body making return that accomplishes bringing both awareness and disturbance. These cultures possessed no contact rendered in written form with one another, no mathematical systems experiencing sharing, no tongue experiencing sharing. Nevertheless, all provided departure behind of a recollection pressed not within texts but rather within structures for building. A recollection of something observed solely one occasion within innumerable generations. something their individuals experiencing descent recalled solely by way of narrative. These alignments were not errors. They represented alerts etched into the landscape itself, an effort possessing quietness, attempting to whisper throughout centuries, possessing hope that one distant civilization possessed potential for ultimately accomplishing connection of the indications provided departure of in a distributed manner throughout the world. When the orientations of sacred structures, of stepped pyramids, of open areas, and of earthworks underwent plotting together on a chart possessing global scale, something possessing extraordinary quality surfaced. A solitary curve extending throughout continents, throughout seas, throughout eras manifested with such clarity as though individuals creating structures from antiquity had accomplished planning of it in a combined manner. The sentences indicated toward the identical region of the sky, the identical coordinate experiencing prohibition the Vatican accomplished observation of, the identical direction etched by people of Sumer, sketched by Matteo, safeguarded within stone from the Andes. It possessed no longer the quality of being possible for accomplishing dismissal of these alignments as markings possessing symbolic quality or as happenstance. They accomplished forming of a chart possessing the magnitude of the world, a chart indicating in a direct manner directed toward the course of the wanderer, and positioned underneath these constructions, etched within chambers possessing concealment, documented within myths receiving vocalization solely within whispers, the identical message manifested repeatedly. When the one possessing red quality makes its return, the pattern commences. They lacked awareness regarding when. They lacked awareness regarding how. Yet they possessed awareness. The arrival possessed inevitable quality. Their concluding action was to provide departure of indications, of structures, and of stones possessing angles demonstrating strength sufficient for accomplishing survival of the ascending and descending of empires. Presently, possessing mathematical work from the contemporary period accomplishing revelation of the identical ancient curve, the path provides guidance, possessing greater depth toward the civilizations that provided treatment to the wanderer not as myth, but rather as a force accomplishing providing of shape to the destiny of worlds. If this narrative produces resonance within you, accomplish sharing of this visual recording. It assists other individuals in accomplishing discovery of these histories, possessing concealment as we accomplish movement toward the section bearing the number 7. Throughout the world, long before the ascending of the study of celestial bodies, people provided accounts of narratives regarding a visitor possessing celestial quality that accomplished arriving and accomplished departing throughout ages. Upon initial observation, these myths appeared, possessing lack of relation. Cultures divided by seas provided description of the visitor within their very own tongues, their very own comparisons used for illustration, their very own experiences of dread. Some individuals provided it designation as the traveler possessing red quality. Other individuals provided words regarding a stellar body possessing judgment. Within the Andes, it underwent recollection as the one who makes return when the mountains accomplish trembling. Within Australia, individuals possessing greatest age provided description of an eye possessing crimson quality that accomplishes observation of the desert. And within the Arctic, individuals conducting hunting provided words regarding the fire possessing silence that traverses position behind the sky. These narratives should lack possession of correspondence. They should lack indication toward the identical occurrence. They should lack provision of description of the identical coloring, the identical timing, the identical emotional response. Nevertheless, they accomplish this. When those conducting research positioned these myths alongside one another in a manner, accomplishing removal of tongue, accomplishing removal of culture, and accomplishing removal of representation using symbols, a solitary narrative surfaced, a visitor originating from the darkness, making return following cycles possessing vast quality, accomplishing, bringing both awareness and disturbance. The consistency possessed exactness, excessively great for representing mere chance. Possessed detail, excessively great for representing imagination. Possessed distribution, excessively broad for undergoing dismissal as narrative. People from antiquity were not accomplishing invention of the visitor. They were experiencing recollection of it. Each myth accomplished preservation of a component of the identical occurrence. The wanderer making a sweep throughout the sky, making return on its course lacking conclusion. When individuals studying tongues accomplished analysis of the myths possessing the greatest age on documentation, a configuration possessing unusual quality manifested. Words that should have undergone evolution in a separate manner within isolation in some manner possessed reverberations of one another. A phrase from Sumer, signifying the one making return possessing red quality, demonstrated resemblance to an expression from Anatolia for the stellar body that accomplishes bleeding of illumination. A word possessing root quality from Indo-European experiencing, forgetting for the individual accomplishing passage of ages, provided reflection of a phrase from South America, providing description of the one who accomplishes crossing of the sky, following silence, possessing extended quality. These connections should lack possession of existence. The tongues were demonstrating excessive distance. The cultures were demonstrating excessive isolation. The chronologies were demonstrating excessive separation. Nevertheless, the resemblance continued. And when the myths underwent alignment in a manner possessing chronological quality, another element surfaced. The visitor possessing red quality invariably manifested throughout periods possessing transitional quality, the conclusion of one era, the commencement of another era. Civilizations provided description of rising waters, of starvation, of movements of peoples, or sudden emergences of awareness, pursuing the manifestation of the visitor, not elimination, not deliverance, but rather alteration. As though the arrival of the visitor accomplished marking of the rotating of a sheet possessing cosmic quality. Individuals studying tongues accomplished understanding of the reality slowly, with reluctance. Humanity did not accomplish creation of these words, it accomplished inheritance of them, accomplished transmission of them downward from forebears who accomplished observation of the visitor possessing their very own vision. Even as systems for writing underwent transformation, even as civilizations accomplished rising and accomplished falling, reverberations of the wanderer continued within tongue itself. A remnant of recollection, etched into the fashion humans accomplish provision of words regarding the sky. When individuals studying history positioned myths from separate continents into arrangement possessing chronological quality, they accomplished discovery of something possessing extraordinary quality. Each narrative accomplished more than provision of description of a visitor possessing red quality. It accomplished provision of description of a pattern, a timing, a rhythm. Some myths provided words regarding ages accomplishing conclusion when the sky accomplishes opening. Other individuals provided description of movements possessing great quality that commenced when the eye possessing red quality made its return. Civilizations divided by tens of thousands of miles documented configurations possessing similar quality even though they never accomplished meeting and never accomplished sharing of awareness. The Maori within the Pacific provided words regarding a night possessing extended quality of dawn, possessing red quality, demonstrating repetition, each cycle possessing great quality. The Maya accomplished encoding of a celestial body making return, possessing red quality into their calendar regarding ages. Texts from India possessing ancient quality made reference to a traveler existing beyond the sun that manifested before transformations possessing major quality within human destiny. None of these narratives possessed connection, and nevertheless they provided description of the identical occurrence. A force possessing celestial quality making return that accomplished marking of transitions within the world possessing human quality. Those conducting research accomplished plotting of these cycles, possessing mythic quality on a sequence, possessing temporal quality, and the outcome possessed chilling quality. The cycles demonstrated correspondence with the theoretical framework possessing gravitational quality regarding the path along an orbit of the wanderer, not in a perfect manner, yet in a manner possessing unmistakable quality. Legendary accounts from antiquity had accomplished preservation of a calendar possessing cosmic quality, a method for accomplishing following of a celestial body that humanity had experienced forgetting regarding how to accomplish observation of, yet continued experiencing recollection regarding how to experience dread toward. As myths underwent placement in comparison alongside one another in a manner, a solitary narrative surfaced as the one possessing the greatest age of all, an account demonstrating repetition within separate continents, separate regions possessing climate, separate eras, nevertheless possessing the identical message. It provided description of a visitor that did not accomplish emitting of radiance resembling a stellar body, did not accomplish burning resembling a celestial streak, did not accomplish producing of loud sound resembling a meteor. Rather, it travelled possessing silence, possessing slowness, possessing inevitable quality. Its manifestation did not undergo heralding by fire, but rather by a glow possessing soft red quality at the place where earth meets sky. An illumination provided description as possessing warmth, yet possessing incorrectness, possessing familiarity, yet experiencing dread, possessing gentleness, yet possessing the burden of numerous conclusions. This alert manifested everywhere, etched onto skeletal remains within caves from the Ice Era, provided with pigment on barriers formed from stone positioned alongside fires from antiquity, accomplished weaving into traditions possessing oral quality transmitted downward throughout thousands of years. Even the movements possessing the earliest quality of humans documented a guide possessing red quality within the sky, something that manifested rarely, yet invariably throughout instants possessing transition, narratives regarding rising waters, narratives regarding starvation, narratives regarding renewal, all commenced possessing the identical portent. When individuals studying history accomplished examination of these accounts, they observed an element possessing unsettling quality. None of these cultures provided claim the visitor possessing red quality represented a divine entity. None accomplished directing of worship toward it. None accomplished seeking of favor originating from it. Rather, they provided treatment to it as a force possessing natural quality, a movement possessing cosmic quality resembling tide, something that did not accomplish selection of its instance, but rather pursued a pattern existing beyond comprehension possessing human quality. A pattern they possessed the ability to accomplish observation of, yet never accomplished transformation of. The alert possessing the greatest age from humanity possessed simplicity. When the one possessing red quality makes return, the world accomplishes transformation. When all myths, all legendary accounts, all tongues, and all alignments underwent assembly into one location, the configuration possessed undeniable quality. The visitor possessing red quality was not a narrative. It represented history demonstrating repetition of itself, a pattern experiencing observation by civilizations who accomplished rising and accomplished falling long before our very own, a pattern that accomplished providing of shape to structures, to calendars, and to complete systems possessing belief, a pattern safeguarded within whispers, within etchings, within narratives receiving vocalization positioned alongside embers experiencing dying. Humanity had not accomplished imagination of the wanderer. Humanity had accomplished inheritance of the recollection of it, possessed resembling a natural response throughout innumerable generations. The discipline from the contemporary period presently provides confirmation regarding what people from antiquity previously possessed awareness of. The visitor pursues a course possessing extended quality and possessing calculated quality, accomplishing, disappearing across ages, making return for accomplishing marking of the rotating of worlds. And as theoretical frameworks possessing gravitational quality accomplish alignment with the myths possessing the greatest age. One reality transforms into something impossible for accomplishing, ignoring. The pattern has commenced once more, the glow possessing red quality documented by Matteo, the irregularities followed by viewing instruments, the emissions possessing faint quality documented using infrared. All of it indicates toward the identical determination. The wanderer possesses authentic existence. It is making its return, and the alerts etched into skeletal remains and into stone were never intended for accomplishing frightening. They were intended for accomplishing preparation. As we accomplish movement toward the following section where the pattern accomplishes revelation of its nature possessing completeness, accomplish tapping of the indication for liking if you persist in pursuing the path through time. It assists other individuals in accomplishing joining with us on this passage. Across years, those who study the stars accomplished refining of their simulations regarding the solar system on the exterior, accomplishing adjustment of locations for information, accomplishing measuring of distortions along orbits, accomplishing plotting of the movements possessing unusual looping quality of celestial bodies, possessing distance and possessing icy quality. Their theoretical frameworks accomplished functioning, possessing beauty, until in a sudden manner they did not. A collection possessing new quality of measurements, manifested, originating from viewing instruments within Chile and within Hawaii, and the simulations underwent collapse. The courses of several celestial bodies possessing distance underwent transformation, possessing magnitude exceeding anticipation, as though something possessing massive scale had accomplished pulling on them, not in a violent manner, not in a manner possessing disorder, but rather in a calculated manner. When those conducting research accomplished recalculation of everything, a path possessing new quality surfaced, one that was not possessing smoothness, but rather underwent pulsing, slightly resembling a rhythm from the heart. The movement possessed subtle quality, possessed rhythmic quality, demonstrating repetition on a measure of time possessing such extended quality. No civilization possessed the ability to have accomplished following of it without accomplishing transmission of the awareness in a forward direction. And nevertheless, this rhythm demonstrated correspondence with something lacking anticipation. It demonstrated correspondence with the timing of myths from antiquity. It demonstrated correspondence with the intervals discovered within records regarding stellar bodies from Sumer. It demonstrated correspondence with the spaces between carvings from Egypt regarding dawn possessing red quality. The pattern lacked arbitrary quality. It possessed construction. The theoretical frameworks underwent breaking because the celestial body lacked drifting quality. It was pursuing a course that had undergone documentation long before humanity comprehended what a path along an orbit represented. And presently, for the initial occasion, the simulations from the discipline possessing contemporary quality were accomplishing catching up with the recollections, safeguarded within stone. As information possessing greater quantity accomplished flowing inward, the rhythm accomplished sharpening. The wanderer was not simply pursuing a path along an orbit, it was pursuing a configuration, a course possessing extended spiraling quality that accomplished expansion and accomplished contraction within patterns. Myths from antiquity had accomplished provision of description of this movement in a manner possessing poetic quality. The sky accomplishes breathing. The heavens accomplish swelling and accomplish returning. The one possessing red quality accomplishes circling of the darkness before accomplishing waking of the world once more. To those conducting research from the contemporary period, these phrases possessed sound possessing metaphorical quality, until the simulations possessing new quality accomplished revelation of something possessing extraordinary quality. The path along an orbit of the wanderer was not an ellipse possessing smoothness. It underwent pulsing directed outward, afterward directed inward, within a rhythm possessing cosmic slowness resembling beating from the heart. This rhythm, resembling beating, demonstrated correspondence with the timing of legendary accounts possessing global quality from antiquity, the cycle from the Maori, the counting possessing extended quality from the Maya, the rotations of era from Indo-European, and even the depictions possessing the greatest age within caves, regarding an arc possessing red quality, demonstrating repetition throughout generations. These were not comparisons used for illustration. They represented documentation. Humanity had been accomplishing following of the rhythm of the course of the wanderer across tens of thousands of years, long before writing possessed existence, long before the concept regarding the study of celestial bodies underwent birth. The understanding possessed staggering quality. The visitor was not solely making return. It was accomplishing entering of the portion directed inward of its pattern, the portion that accomplished bringing of it possessing the closest quality to our world, and the glow possessing red quality Matteo accomplished observation of represented the initial exhalation of that movement closer. The initial observation from the contemporary period of the glow possessing red quality arrived possessing quietness, a radiance possessing faint quality, at the place where earth meets sky, possessing visibility solely across instants, documented by a collection possessing small quantity of facilities for observation and undergoing dismissal as interference possessing atmospheric quality. Yet afterward it manifested once more, and once more, within hemispheres possessing difference, elevations possessing difference, occasions during night possessing difference. The glow possessed subtle quality, possessing weakness excessively great for accomplishing photographing in a direct manner, possessing speed excessively great for accomplishing analysis, possessing detail, nevertheless possessing authentic quality in a manner lacking denial. It demonstrated correspondence with Matteo's observations possessing final quality. It demonstrated correspondence with descriptions etched within barriers from Egypt. It demonstrated correspondence with the radiance possessing red quality, experiencing recollection within narratives from the Arctic. And possessing the quality most unsettling of all, it manifested in an exact manner when simulations accomplished prediction the wanderer would commence the portion directed inward of its pattern. Collections of those studying the stars accomplished effort attempting to accomplish determination using triangulation of its location. Yet each effort underwent failure. The glow possessed no location possessing clarity. It manifested wherever the portion possessing atmospheric quality confronted the path arriving onward. It was not illumination originating from the celestial body itself, but rather the result of its movement closer. A pressure possessing gravitational quality, a distortion, a pulling possessing softness at the boundaries of the sky. Something possessing massive scale was traveling, possessing slowness, possessing steadiness, possessing predictability directed toward the solar system on the interior. The glow possessed no longer mythic quality. It represented an indication, the initial sign possessing visible quality of a pattern, experiencing waking following ages possessing silence. As the glow underwent intensification, those conducting research commenced observation of something they had not accomplished anticipation of, not illumination, not vibration in air, but rather pressure. Instruments throughout the world accomplished documentation of distortions, possessing subtle quality within the portion, possessing atmospheric quality on the upper region, transformations possessing faintness, excessively great for devices available to the public for accomplishing detection, nevertheless possessing consistency, excessively great for undergoing dismissal. Measurements regarding barometric conditions underwent fluctuation without tempests. Instruments measuring magnetism underwent twitching, even underneath skies, possessing clarity. And within several facilities for observation, viewing instruments underwent warping of optical components, possessing momentary quality as though the fabric of space itself were accomplishing stretching in an ever-slight manner. These results possessed identical quality to those provided description within accounts from antiquity. Tablets from Sumer provided words regarding air, that accomplishes trembling before the visitor accomplishes arriving. Carvings from Egypt made mention of a bending possessing softness regarding the heavens. Within the Arctic, individuals possessing greatest age-accomplished transmission downward of narratives regarding winds possessing thinness of sky that accomplish pressing upon the portion of the body for breathing, when the essence possessing red quality accomplishes walking. Those conducting research from the contemporary period had invariably held assumption these represented comparisons possessing poetic quality until the information commenced, demonstrating repetition of the identical indications. The wanderer lacked visibility, yet its movement closer possessed unmistakable quality. The disturbance resembling a wave possessing pressure, traveled possessing slowness, possessing evenness. Pursuing the rhythm possessing cyclical quality disclosed within theoretical frameworks regarding orbits. It represented the confirmation possessing initial physical quality that the visitor possessed no longer distance. It was traveling following the spiral directed inward of its course, possessing ancient quality, precisely as the myths had accomplished provision of alert, precisely as Matteo had accomplished provision of writing, precisely as the charts possessing gravitational quality accomplished prediction. The sky was accomplishing response to something possessing massive scale, something possessing ancient quality, something making return. When the information originating from dozens of facilities for observation underwent synchronization, a configuration possessing quality, causing breath to cease, surfaced. The disturbances resembling waves possessing atmospheric pressure, the glow possessing red quality, the distortions along orbits, all of it accomplished, converging following the identical curve from antiquity, a curve documented within myths, etched within stone, transmitted downward by way of tongues, created in charts by Matteo, accomplished rediscovery by theoretical frameworks possessing gravitational quality from the contemporary period. For the initial occasion within history possessing human quality, each field of study, the study of celestial bodies, the study of ancient remains, the study of tongues, the study of myth, indicated toward the identical reality. The pattern had accomplished entering of its portion possessing active quality, not as disaster, not as prophecy, but rather as a return, possessing slowness, possessing steadiness, possessing predictability of a celestial body whose course has accomplished providing of shape to the destiny of worlds. Those conducting research directed gazes at the chart, experiencing final synchronization and accomplished understanding of something possessing profound quality. Humanity represented the initial civilization possessing advancement sufficient for accomplishing comprehension of the pattern as it underwent unfolding. People of Sumer accomplished observation of it. People of Egypt accomplished documentation of it. Matteo accomplished forming of guesses regarding it. Yet the discipline possessing contemporary quality possessed finally the ability to accomplish following of it instant by instant as the visitor pursued the spiral, directed inward, directed toward the solar system on the interior. And as the configuration accomplished locking into location, an inquiry possessing greater depth surfaced. If the wanderer invariably makes return at the rotating of ages, what location for rotating awaits humanity presently? Accomplish saving of this visual recording for afterward. You will desire return as we accomplish, bringing to light of the significance, standing behind the portion, possessing the following quality within the section, bearing the number 9. Positioned deep underneath libraries, underneath universities, and underneath establishments possessing religious quality, there possess existence repositories not experiencing listing on any design for floors, chambers lacking windows, shelving units lacking numbers for cataloging, manuscripts lacking individuals creating. These chambers possess the pieces that never accomplish reaching of the public, the narratives, the diagrams, and the testimonies that do not accomplish fitting of history possessing official quality. And, positioned among them, distributed throughout continents, exists a configuration possessing disturbing quality. Sketches regarding a horizon possessing red quality, accounts providing description of a stellar body making return, testimonies originating from those studying the stars who accomplished observation of something they lacked the ability to provide explanation for, afterward disappeared. Within one repository from Europe, sealed positioned behind barriers formed from iron. Individuals studying history discovered a manuscript rendered in a manner using hand possessing identical quality to Matteo's, possessing dates from centuries before he underwent birth. Within South America, those conducting research accomplished discovery of panels etched from stone concealed, positioned underneath a floor of a monastery, providing depiction of the identical curve. Matteo accomplished sketching by illumination from candles. Within Asia, a text experiencing prohibition provided description of a traveler who accomplishes movement of the seas of the sky, its pigment experiencing fading almost to nothing. These documentations should lack possession of existence. Nevertheless, they accomplish this, all of them concealed within locations intended for accomplishing keeping of them lacking observation. The more deeply learned individuals accomplish digging, the more distinct the reality transforms. Throughout history, whenever the glow possessing red quality made return, proof underwent assembly possessing quietness and underwent locking into storage. Not for the objective of safeguarding the public, not for the objective of accomplishing prevention of frantic behavior, but rather because the establishment's accomplishing collection of it possessed awareness, the pattern possessed authentic quality. Throughout centuries, those studying the stars have disappeared underneath circumstances, demonstrating similarity excessively great for accomplishing ignoring. A learned individual during the Middle Ages who accomplished documentation of an arc possessing red quality within the sky and was experiencing disappearance the morning possessing the following quality. A person conducting mathematics during the Renaissance who provided writing regarding a trembling within the heavens, providing departure behind of diagrams that demonstrate resemblance to distortions possessing gravitational quality from the contemporary period. An individual conducting study of celestial physics during the 20th century who accomplished documentation of an emission possessing atmospheric quality lacking explanation, afterward accomplished abandoning of his facility for observation without a trace. Their designations rarely manifest within texts for instruction. Their accomplishments of discovery never underwent publication, and within each instance, the documentation experiencing survival underwent fragmentation, underwent damage, or underwent incompleteness, possessing mysterious quality. Initially, individuals studying history possessed belief these disappearances represented happenstance. Yet when their written material underwent placement in comparison, the reality surfaced. Each individual studying the stars experiencing disappearance accomplished documentation of the identical thing, the indications possessing initial quality of the pattern making return. Their sketches provided reflection of Matteo's sheets possessing final quality. Their measurements demonstrated correspondence with simulations from the contemporary period. Their documentation provided description of manifestations we presently accomplish recognition of as the movement closer directed inward of the wanderer, the glow, the pressure, the stellar bodies undergoing transformation, and each of them disappeared precisely as their creation neared completion. Someone accomplished preservation of their written material. Someone accomplished silencing of their designations. Someone comprehended the peril of permitting the world to possess awareness the pattern had commenced once more. When establishments underwent confronting using proof demonstrating clarity excessively great for accomplishing ignoring, they did not accomplish denial of it. They accomplished concealment of it. They accomplished copying of pieces into record books possessing private quality. They accomplished sealing of manuscripts positioned behind stone and positioned behind iron. They accomplished restriction of availability to viewing instruments, possessing capability for accomplishing detection of irregularities. And possessing the quality above all, they accomplished discouraging of anyone from accomplishing study of the glow possessing red quality. Documentation possessing official quality, provided it label as distortion possessing atmospheric quality. even when communications possessing internal quality provided it designation as possessing consistency with patterns possessing previous quality. Quietness transformed into the approach, not because the reality possessed quality lacking the ability to form thoughts regarding, but rather because it possessed predictable quality. If the pattern invariably made return, afterward likewise would the dread regarding collapse, dread regarding prophecy, dread regarding experiencing loss of authority. Establishments experience dread not toward the wanderer itself, but rather toward the response humanity possessed potential for possessing if they possessed awareness regarding what civilizations from antiquity previously comprehended. That ages accomplish rotating when the visitor accomplishes moving closer, that worlds accomplish transformation when its glow manifests. That history accomplishes transformation in fashions no authority possessing governmental quality or possessing temple quality possess the ability to accomplish prevention of accomplishing authority over the narrative signified accomplishing authority over the dread. And in this manner the reality underwent positioning underneath centuries, possessing silence. Presently possessing implements from the contemporary period accomplishing, exposing of what myths accomplished, preservation of. The quietness is accomplishing breaking, the pattern is making return. And during this occasion the world is accomplishing observation. As those conducting research placed in comparison centuries possessing documentation experiencing prohibition, a configuration surfaced, not within the stellar bodies, but rather within behavior possessing human quality. Each occasion the pattern commenced, its rotation directed inward. Each occasion the glow possessing red quality manifested. Each occasion celestial bodies possessing distance underwent transformation on their courses possessing ancient quality. The identical response underwent unfolding throughout eras possessing difference. Documentation underwent sealing. Facilities for observation underwent restriction. Learned individuals underwent dismissal. Observers underwent silencing. Establishments accomplished reaction not possessing curiosity, but rather possessing urgency, as though they possessed awareness in an exact manner regarding what these indications signified, and experienced dread regarding what possessed potential for occurring if the awareness accomplished spreading. Within Europe from medieval times, those studying the stars possessing royal quality documented a radiance possessing unusual quality at the place where earth meets sky. Weeks afterward, their creation underwent confiscation and their designations underwent elimination from repositories. Within China possessing ancient quality, observers of the sky possessing imperial quality provided description of an exhalation possessing crimson quality on the boundary of night. Afterward disappeared from documentation regarding the court in a complete manner. Within the region near the east, possessing ancient quality, tablets formed from clay providing detail regarding emissions possessing atmospheric unusual quality, underwent positioning underneath layers, possessing new quality formed from stone. In a calculated manner concealed from individuals copying texts possessing future quality. These were not actions possessing arbitrary quality. They represented responses possessing coordination to something that made return within patterns. The people possessing power comprehended the reality. Awareness regarding the visitor accomplished transformation of civilizations. It accomplished destabilization of systems possessing belief. It accomplished weakening of power. And possessing the quality most perilous of all, it accomplished creation of inquiries no establishment possessed the ability to provide response to. Rather than accomplishing confronting of the pattern in a direct manner, they accomplished positioning underneath earth of everything that possessed the ability to accomplish revelation of its existence. And each occasion the visitor made return. The quietness experienced growth possessing greater depth. When individuals studying history ultimately accomplished assembly of all pieces experiencing survival, the documentation experiencing redaction, the manuscripts experiencing prohibition, the charts of the sky possessing concealment, The charts regarding stellar bodies experiencing censorship. One element possessed standing out, possessing quality above all other individuals. Establishments were not experiencing dread toward the existence of the wanderer. They were experiencing dread toward its timing. They possessed awareness, the pattern demonstrated repetition. They possessed awareness, it accomplished bringing of periods, possessing transformation. They possessed awareness. Civilizations accomplished response, not possessing calm, but rather possessing disturbance. Movement of peoples, collapse, or renewal. And they possessed awareness, the visitor invariably accomplished, moving closer at instants, possessing rotating quality. Instants that accomplished reshaping of the future. What they experienced dread toward possessing the greatest quality was that humanity would accomplish recognition of the configuration. If people comprehended that the pattern possessed predictable quality, that civilizations from antiquity had previously experienced life throughout returns possessing previous quality, that myths and mathematical work were providing vocalization of the identical narrative. Afterward, maintaining secrecy would accomplish crumbling, power would accomplish weakening, and the narrative regarding history possessing human quality would accomplish transformation for all time. The visitor was not a prophecy. It was not a collection of myths. It represented a force possessing natural quality accomplished, weaving into the substance of our solar system. A force possessing age exceeding any sacred structure, any realm, or any empire. As instruments from the contemporary period presently accomplish revelation of the identical ancient curve, the identical rhythm directed inward, the identical pressure on the sky. The quietness originating from the time past possesses no longer the ability to accomplish maintaining. The pattern is making return. And within the section bearing the number 10, we ultimately accomplish bringing to light regarding what this signifies for our very own world. As the information arriving inward accomplished stabilization, the picture transformed, possessing clarity, exceeding all occasions previously. The wanderer lacked wandering quality. It lacked drifting quality. It lacked unpredictable quality. It was pursuing a spiral directed inward, the identical configuration etched by those studying the stars from antiquity, the identical curve pressed into sacred structures, experiencing forgetting, the identical path Matteo accomplished, sketching throughout his night, possessing final quality. The spiral directed inward was not a comparison used for illustration. It represented a theoretical framework possessing physics quality, a descent possessing gravitational quality, a return directed toward the solar system on the interior on a measure of time extending far beyond any civilization possessing human quality. Those studying the stars, accomplished understanding of something possessing chilling quality, the rhythm of the wanderer, the expansion and the contraction possessing rhythmic quality of its path along an orbit, demonstrated correspondence with transitions between ages possessing global quality documented within mythology from antiquity, each occurrence possessing shifting quality for an era, each location for rotating, possessing civilizational quality, each collapse possessing sudden quality or bloom possessing cultural sudden quality. Accomplished alignment with instants, when the wanderer traveled possessing the closest quality to the sun. People from antiquity had accomplished encoding of this awareness within narratives, within ceremonies, within structures, each representing an effort possessing desperation, attempting to provide alert to the future. Presently, the pattern was accomplishing entering of its portion directed inward once more. The glow possessing red quality had commenced. The pressure possessing atmospheric quality had undergone transformation. The distortions along orbits were accomplishing acceleration. Humanity possessed, standing at the boundary of the identical instant civilizations from antiquity had confronted. The instant when the sky accomplishes providing of indication regarding a rotating, possessing new quality of the sheet, possessing cosmic quality. When individuals conducting science accomplished plotting of the power of influence possessing gravitational quality of the wanderer throughout the solar system on the interior, they discovered something lacking anticipation. The power of influence did not manifest in a manner possessing gradual quality. It manifested in disturbances resembling waves, emissions possessing periodic quality that accomplished alignment with transformations possessing historical climate quality, irregularities possessing magnetic quality, and movements experiencing lack of explanation safeguarded within documentation from antiquity. These emissions were not possessing destructive quality on their very own, yet they accomplished alteration of equilibrium. They accomplished transformation of configurations. They accomplished nudging of occurrences in directions lacking visibility on a measure possessing daily quality, nevertheless possessing unmistakable quality throughout centuries. Civilizations from antiquity had accomplished provision of description of these instants within tongue possessing symbolic quality. The world accomplishes stirring, the sky accomplishes breathing, the pattern accomplishes bending of the seasons, the traveler accomplishes tilting of the destiny possessing kings. Individuals conducting science without possessing awareness of the narratives possessing ancient quality had accomplished documentation of the identical occurrences as irregularities, increases within measurements possessing geomagnetic quality, variations within density possessing atmospheric quality, distortions possessing subtle quality within movements resembling tides and within flows. The configurations did not demonstrate correspondence with the sun. They did not demonstrate correspondence with patterns possessing lunar quality. They demonstrated correspondence with the wanderer. This represented the instant humanity comprehended. The visitor was not merely making return, it was previously accomplishing influence on our world, not by way of impact, not by way of collision, but rather by way of echo, a pressure possessing cosmic quality that accomplished making contact with everything possessing life, everything accomplishing movement, everything accomplishing transformation. The identical echo that at one time accomplished guiding of movements of peoples, accomplished seeding of myths, and accomplished rewriting of civilizations. As proof possessing greater quantity underwent accumulation, a reality from antiquity underwent resurfacing. Civilizations did not accomplish descending because of the manifestation of the wanderer. They accomplished transformation. The transformation was not a solitary occurrence. It represented a boundary, a transition originating from one era directed toward the era possessing the following quality. Myths from antiquity provided words regarding the rotating of the wheel possessing great quality, the renewal of worlds, the dawn following the night possessing red quality. These were not alerts possessing quality relating to the end of existence. They were observations. When the wanderer accomplished moving closer within patterns possessing past quality, awareness underwent transformation, boundaries underwent transformation. Systems possessing belief underwent collapse. Complete cultures accomplished reorganization of themselves surrounding realities possessing new quality. The visitor accomplished action not as an individual accomplishing elimination, but rather as an individual causing reaction, a beginning, a power of influence possessing gravitational quality, demonstrating subtle quality, sufficient for experiencing lack of observation day by day, nevertheless possessing power sufficient for accomplishing steering of the course of humanity throughout generations, presently possessing the spiral directed inward accomplishing acceleration. The sentence between ages was accomplishing forming once more. The glow possessing red quality accomplishing marking of the sky was not a danger. It represented an indication that the era possessing ancient quality was accomplishing conclusion, and another era was accomplishing preparation for commencing. What form it would accomplish, assuming no individual possessed the ability to provide words regarding yet. The pattern had made return, and, precisely resembling each civilization before us, humanity was approaching accomplishment of crossing of the boundary toward an epoch possessing new quality. As those conducting research placed in comparison the pattern with the ascending and the descending of worlds from antiquity, a configuration possessing striking quality surfaced. Civilizations did not accomplish collapse at moments possessing arbitrary quality. They accomplished transformation within disturbances resembling waves, disturbances that accomplished alignment with the location of the wanderer on its path along an orbit possessing vast quality. When the visitor traveled directed outward, cultures accomplished stabilization, awareness accomplished settling, empires accomplished expansion. Yet when the visitor pursued the spiral directed inward, complete societies underwent transformation. Regions possessing climatic quality underwent reorganization. Movements of peoples commenced. Systems possessing religious quality underwent transformation. Concepts possessing new quality manifested possessing speed, causing astonishment, as though the world itself were accomplishing rearrangement of its supports. Sumer accomplished rising throughout a portion directed outward, and accomplished fracturing throughout a portion directed inward. Egypt accomplished unifying within the state of calm regarding the arc on the exterior, and underwent evolution, possessing radical quality, when the visitor accomplished moving closer once more. Civilizations from Mesoamerica accomplished their advances, possessing the greatest quality within mathematical work and within the study of celestial bodies, throughout instants that accomplished alignment with the presence of the wanderer. Even myths possessing global quality regarding renewal, regarding transformation, and regarding ages possessing golden quality pursued the identical rhythm. This was not happenstance. This represented echo, a power of influence possessing cosmic slowness, accomplishing, providing of shape to the development regarding history, possessing human quality. The wanderer did not accomplish compulsion of occurrences. It accomplished nudging of them. It accomplished transformation of movements resembling tides, of regions possessing climate, of regions possessing magnetic quality, and possessing the potential even of thought possessing human quality. Each pattern directed inward accomplished marking of a location for rotating, a boundary, an instant where humanity accomplished, stepping toward something possessing new quality. And as the pattern from the contemporary period presently accomplishes tightening, as the glow possessing red quality accomplishes strengthening, the world possesses standing at the boundary of the identical instant innumerable civilizations accomplished observation of before us. An instant not possessing conclusion, but rather possessing transition, possessing profound quality, when all proof, possessing ancient quality and possessing contemporary quality, underwent assembly into one location, the determination transformed into something impossible for accomplishing ignoring. The pattern had made return, the glow within the sky, the pressure possessing atmospheric quality, the distortions possessing gravitational quality, the rhythm within theoretical frameworks regarding orbits. All of it demonstrated correspondence with the spiral directed inward documented by civilizations experiencing disappearance long in the past. Humanity presently possessed standing on the boundary between ages, the identical limit that at one time accomplished marking of the ascending of realms possessing ancient quality, the birth of concepts possessing new quality, and the reshaping of complete cultures. This was not the initial occasion the pattern accomplished moving closer. Yet it represented the initial occasion a civilization possessed the implements for accomplishing comprehension of it. The individuals from antiquity provided departure of messages for us within etchings, within myths, within alignments formed from stone. They accomplished preservation of alerts regarding the visitor because they possessed awareness it would make return. And presently the discipline from the contemporary period accomplishes revelation of the identical reality by way of mathematical expressions, by way of devices for detection, and by way of viewing instruments. Two worlds, one possessing ancient quality, one possessing contemporary quality, ultimately accomplish vocalization of the identical tongue. As we accomplish entering of the section possessing final quality, we accomplish stepping, originating from possessing awareness that the pattern makes return toward accomplishing comprehension regarding what the return signifies for the world we possess inhabitation within presently. Accomplish subscription if you desire pursuing the section possessing the following quality regarding this narrative. The one where the pattern accomplishes meeting of our very own time. When we accomplish directing of gazing at the sky during night, we accomplish observation of stellar bodies appearing, possessing eternal quality, possessing stillness, possessing silence, possessing quality lacking transformation. Yet the reality possessed carrying throughout this narrative provides reminder to us regarding something possessing greater depth. The sky is not a visual representation. It represents a recollection, a documentation possessing movement, possessing breathing, regarding ages that arrived before us. Each glow, each emission possessing faint quality, each etching from antiquity that accomplished survival throughout particles and through ruins, provides words regarding a configuration demonstrating vastness, excessively great for one duration of life, for accomplishing comprehension. And nevertheless humanity has invariably experienced sensation of it. Civilizations experiencing disappearance long in the past, accomplished providing of shape to their stones for pursuing it. Learned individuals within chambers receiving illumination from candles experienced perception of it. Narratives whispered between generations accomplished preservation of it. Presently, for the initial occasion, we possess the ability to accomplish observation of the pattern as a complete entity, the spiral directed inward, the horizon possessing red quality, the myths possessing ancient quality, accomplished rediscovery by the discipline, and within the quietness of night, it transforms possessing clarity that humanity is not accomplishing observation of something possessing new quality. We are accomplishing observation of something possessing ancient quality, something possessing familiar quality, something making return precisely as it invariably has. The sky accomplishes recollection of everything we have accomplished forgetting, and it accomplishes waiting, possessing patience for us to accomplish recollection accompanying it. Each civilization within this narrative provided departure behind of a trace. A murmur regarding the pattern they accomplished observation of. A stepped pyramid accomplished alignment to the stellar bodies. A tablet accomplished etching, possessing a curve lacking the ability to exist. A passage within a sacred structure possessing angle directed toward a horizon experiencing contact by red quality. A myth possessed carrying throughout thousands of voices. In a combined manner, they accomplish forming of a composition resembling pieces, a message throughout time, rendered not within one tongue but rather within numerous, not within one culture but rather within all. These reverberations were never intended for accomplishing explanation of everything. They were intended for accomplishing survival, possessing duration sufficient for someone at some future point for accomplishing comprehension regarding what all of them indicated directed toward. And presently, possessing standing at the boundary of our very own location for rotating. The reverberations produce sensation possessing closeness, exceeding all previous occasions. The identical glow that accomplished stirring of observers from antiquity has commenced making return. The identical configurations etched within stone presently manifest within simulations regarding orbits. The identical rhythm provided description within narratives possessing ancient quality produces echo within instruments from the contemporary period. The pattern that accomplished providing of shape to worlds before our very own is commencing once more. Possessing quietness, possessing patience, possessing quality lacking denial. History has invariably been possessing magnitude exceeding dates and remains. History represents a recollection we accomplish inheritance of even when we possess no longer recognition of it. The reality possessing the greatest magnitude concealed within this narrative is not dread, is not prophecy, is not conclusion possessing doom. It is quietness. The pattern does not accomplish rushing. It does not accomplish striking. It accomplishes unfolding, possessing slowness, possessing softness throughout ages. People from antiquity did not accomplish provision of description of elimination. They accomplished provision of description of transition, of renewal, of eras undergoing transformation that accomplished reshaping of the world, yet did not accomplish conclusion of it. And presently, as humanity possesses standing positioned underneath the identical glow making return, we confront not the conclusion of our time, but rather the commencement of something possessing new quality. There possesses existence comfort within accomplishing comprehension of this. The visitor has accomplished passage previously. Civilizations accomplished adaptation. Humanity accomplished endurance. Awareness accomplished survival by way of myths, by way of stones, by way of melodies, and by way of alerts possessing whispers. This evening, as the place where earth meets sky, accomplishes dimming toward its radiance, possessing quiet, red quality. The narrative regarding the pattern transforms possessing quality less, resembling an enigma, and possessing quality more resembling a reminder that humanity represents portion of a rhythm possessing age exceeding our tongues, possessing age exceeding our histories, possessing age exceeding our world itself, and resembling all who arrived before us. We undergo invitation not for accomplishing experiencing of dread toward the pattern, but rather for accomplishing observation of it. And in this manner, we accomplish manifestation at the conclusion possessing quietness regarding this passage. 10 sections, tens of thousands of years, civilizations accomplishing rising, accomplishing falling, and providing departure of their voice within stone for any world possessing future quality, possessing willingness for accomplishing listening. Their message was never intended for accomplishing alarm. It was intended for accomplishing guiding, for accomplishing reminding of us that what accomplishes rising within the heavens has accomplished rising previously, and what makes return to the place where earth meets sky has accomplished providing of shape to destiny, possessing human quality throughout eras. The pattern is not a conclusion. It represents an invitation for accomplishing paying of attention, for accomplishing comprehension, for accomplishing recollection, as we accomplish directing of gazing directed toward the horizon, possessing the following quality, directed toward the glow, possessing the following quality within the sky. This narrative persists. There possess existence inquiries, continuing, experiencing lack of response, continuing pieces concealed within myths, continuing courses followed by hands from antiquity awaiting accomplishment of rediscovery, and, within the sections possessing advancement, disclosures possessing new quality, connections possessing new quality, and enigmas possessing new quality will accomplish rising possessing the identical patience the entirety of the cosmos has invariably accomplished demonstration of. If you desire pursuing the narrative as it accomplishes unfolding, accomplish subscription. There possesses existence magnitude much exceeding for accomplishing bringing to light, and numerous nights possessing advancement.